Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatha Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijna Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Sya Om Ajnana Timarandasya Gyanajana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militamina Tasma Shri Gurave Namah Gaurva Bhistam Supurakam Guraganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipunam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govindam Vidam Ujwalam Varatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwagurun Shah Divyad Bhagavat Prem Noe Bija Pranam Devam Divyatanam Suchandavaranam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyambudim Sri Siddhanta Nidim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Varam Bandetam Shubhadam Mareka Sharanam Nyashishvara Sridharam Vanshakopatarubyasya Kripasindubhyavacha Patitanam Pavenibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahamananyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah Puja Shri Guru Vargavandita Mahabhavan Vitaya Sada Purvaparya Parampara Prachalita Praja Pramurta Krite Bhaktir Nirmala Nirjarasya Nibritam Samrakshakam Sadaram Bande Guru Devam Anata Shiracharyar Varyam Nijam. I bow my head in eternal obeisances to my Gurudev, the best of Acharyas, Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj. He is the ever-vigilant, stalwart guardian of the current of pure devotion, whose highest form flows from our most worshipable Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga in their exclusive dedication to Mahabhava, Srimati Radharani. Well, that's the translation of Srila Acharya Maharaj's Pranam Mantra. And like so many, I'm very much affected by his disappearance. I was listening always to his preaching, and I thought he was preaching so wonderfully and empowered. And I also felt that I'm old, I'm 76 years old, and my health is failing, and I was hoping that Acharya Maharaj would be there to give shelter to the devotees when I leave. But that did not. He suddenly left, and by the divine will of the Lord, and I'm very saddened by that. But now I'm going to continue with the reading we have of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Can you look in that small bag? That the cover for this microphone is okay. Oh, I wonder why that came off. Okay. So we're reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, with translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This is from the Antya-lila, chapter 18, Rescuing the Lord from the Sea. So, very nice chapter. Saroj Jochna Sindur Avakalanaya Jata Jamuna Brahma Davam Yosmin Hari Viraha Taparnava Iva nimagno murchala payasi nivasan ratrim akilam prabhate prapta svar abatu sachi shunor ihanaha. In the brilliant autumn moonlight, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mistook the sea for the river Yamuna. Greatly afflicted by separation from Krishna, he ran and dove into the sea and remained unconscious in the water the entire night. In the morning, he was found by his personal devotees. May that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the son of Mother Sachi, protect us by his transcendental pastimes. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Sri Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Sri Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. E mate Mahaprabhu nilachale baishe, ratri dine Krishna viche dharanave bashe. While thus living at Jagannath Puri, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu floated all day and night in an ocean of separation from Krishna. Saraj Kalera Ratri Sab Chandrika Ujwala Prabhu Nijagana Loya Bedana Ratri Sakala. During a night of the autumn season, when a full moon brightened everything, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wandered all night long with his devotees. Udyane Udyane Brahmara Kotuka Dekite rasa-lila Gita Shloka Parite Shunite. He walked from garden to garden, seeing the pastimes of Lord Krishna and hearing and reciting songs and verses concerning the rasa-lila. Prabhu Prema Beshe Koran Gananartan Kabu Baba Beshe rasa-lilanu Karan. He sang and danced in ecstatic love and sometimes imitated the rasa dance in emotional ecstasy. Kabu Babon Mare Prabhu Iti Utidai Bhume Pade Kabu Murcha Kabu Gadejai. He sometimes ran here and there in the madness of ecstasy and sometimes fell and rolled on the ground. Sometimes he became completely unconscious. Rasa-lila Rek Shlok Jabe Padeshune Purvavat Tabiarta Koranapane. When he heard Swarup Damodar recite a verse concerning the rasa-lila, or he himself recited one, he would personally explain it as he had previously done. Emata rasa-lilaya hoy jata shlok sabara arta koripai kabu harsha shok. In this way, explain the meaning of all the verses concerning the rasa-lila. Sometimes he would be very sad and sometimes very happy. E sab shlokararta se sab bikar se sab barnite granta hoy ati bistar. To explain fully all those verses and all the transformations that took place in the Lord's body would require a very large volume. Dwara Shabbat Sare Jeje Lila Kane Kane Ati Bahuya Baye Granta Nahoilun Likane. So as not to increase the size of this book, I have not written about all the Lord's pastimes, for he performed them every moment of every day for 12 years. Purveche Dekanache Digdarshan Taiche Janiya Bikar Pralapa Varnan. As I previously indicated, I am describing the mad speeches and bodily transformations of the Lord only in brief. Sahasra Bharane Jabe Kohaye Ananta Ekdinara Lilara Tabu Nahipayanta. If Ananta with his 1,000 hoods and 1,000 mouths, if Ananta with his 1,000 hoods tried to describe even one day's pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he would find them impossible to describe fully. Kote Juga Parjanta Jadi Likaye Ganesh Egdinara Lilara Tabu Nahi Paisesh. If Ganesh, Lord Shiva's son, and the expert scribe of the demigods tried for millions of millenniums to fully describe one day of the Lord's pastimes, he would be unable to find their limit. Bhaktara prema vikara deki, Krishnara chamatkar, Krishna jarana pai anta keva charar. Even Lord Krishna is struck with wonder at seeing the transformations of ecstasy in his devotees. If Krishna himself cannot estimate the limits of such emotions, how could others? Bhakta premara jata dasha jay gati prakar, jata dukkha jata sukha jatika bikar, Krishna taha samyak na pare janite, bhakta baba angikare taha ashwadite. Krishna himself cannot fully understand the conditions, the mood of progress, the happiness and unhappiness, and the moods of ecstatic love of his devotees. He therefore accepts the role of a devotee to taste these emotions fully. Krishnare nachaya prema bhaktere nachaya apane nachaya tine nache ektai. Ecstatic love of Krishna makes Krishna and his devotees dance, and it also dances personally. In this way, all three dance together in one place. Krishna, Krishna's devotees, and also ecstatic love of Krishna. They all dance together. Premara bikar barnite chahe jay jan, chanda darite chahe jena hoya baman. One who wants to describe the transformations of ecstatic love of Krishna is like a dwarf trying to catch the moon in the sky. Bayu Jai Sindhu Jalera Hare Ekhan Krishna Prema Kana Taiche Jivera Sparshan. As the wind can carry away but a drop of the water in the ocean, a living entity can touch only a particle of the ocean of love of Krishna. Kane kane ute premara taranga ananta, jiva chara kahantar paibeka anta. Endless waves arise moment after moment in the ocean of love. How could an insignificant living entity estimate their limits? Sri Krishna Chaitanya Jaha Korana Ashwaran Sabe Ek Janitaha Swarup Padigan. Only a person on the level of Swarup Damodar Goswami can fully know what Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tastes in his love for Krishna. Jiva hoya kore jay tahara barnan apana shodite tara chonye ekan. When an ordinary living entity describes the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he purifies himself by touching one drop of that great ocean. Emata rasara shlok sakala I padila seshe jala kelera shloka Parite lagila, emata rasara shlok sakalai padila, seshe jala kelira shloka parite lagila. Thus all the verses about the rasa dance were recited. Then finally the verse concerning the pastimes in the water was recited. Tabir juta shraman apohitam anga sangha Girishta Shrajasa Kucha Kunkuma Ranjitaya Gandharva Palibir Anudruta Avishadva Shranto Gajibir Iba Rad Iva Binasetu. As an independent leader among elephants enters the water with its female elephants, Krishna, who is transcendental to the Vedic principles of morality, entered the water of the Yamuna with the gopis. His chest had brushed against their breasts, crushing his flower garland and covering it with red kumkum powder. Attracted by the fragrance of that garland, humming bumblebees followed Krishna like celestial beings of Gandharva Loka. In this way, Lord Krishna mitigated the fatigue of the rasa dance. Emata Mahaprabhu Brahmite, Aitota Hoite Samudra Dekena Achambite. While thus wandering near the temple of Aitota, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu suddenly saw the sea. Chandrakante Uchalita Taranga Ujjwala Jalamala Korijena Jamunarajo. Brightened by the shining light of the moon, the high waves of the sea glittered like the waters of the river Yamuna. Brightened by the shining light of the moon, the high waves of the sea glittered like the waters of the river Yamuna. Jamunara Brahme Prabhu Antya-lila Alakite Jai Sindhu Jale Japadila. Mistaking the sea for the Yamuna, the Lord ran swiftly and jumped into the water unseen by the others. Mistaking the sea for the Yamuna, the Lord ran swiftly and jumped into the water unseen by others. Padite hoila morcha kichwi najane kabul dubaya kabul bashaya tarangaragane. Falling into the water, he lost consciousness and could not understand where he was. Sometimes he sank beneath the waves and sometimes he floated above them. Tarange Mahia Fire Jena Shushka Kashta Ke Bujite Pare Chaitanya Renata. The waves carried him here and there like a piece of dry wood. Who can understand this dramatic performance by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Konarkera Dike Prabhure Tarange Loya Jai Kabul Dubaya Rake Kabul Bashanyaya Loya Jai, keeping the Lord sometimes submerged and sometimes afloat. The waves carried him toward the Konarka temple. Konarka, generally known as Arkatirtha, is a temple of Lord Surya, the sun god. It is situated on the seashore, 19 miles north of Jagannath Puri. It was constructed of black stone in the beginning of the 13th century of the Shaka era, and it shows expert craftsmanship and architecture. So that's 19 miles from Puri. Keeping the Lord sometimes submerged and sometimes afloat, the waves carried him toward the Konarka temple. Jamunate Jalakeli Gopigana Sange Krishna Koran Mahaprabhu Magna Se Range. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, fully merged in the pastimes Lord Krishna performed with the gopis in the waters of the Yamuna. Ihan Swarup Parigan Prabhu na Dekiya Kahan Gela Prabhu Kohe Chamakita Hoya. Meanwhile, all the devotees headed by Swarup Damodar lost sight of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Astonished, they began searching for him, asking, "Where has the Lord gone?" Mano Bege Gela Prabhu Dekite Narila Prabhu Reina Dekiya Samshai Korite Lagila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had run off at the speed of the mind. No one could see him. Thus everyone was puzzled as to his whereabouts. Jagannatha Dekite Kiba Devaloya Gela Anya Ujjane Kiba Unmare Padila. Has the Lord gone to the temple of Jagannath, or has he fallen down in madness in some garden? Gundicha Mandire Gela Kiba Narendra Re Shatak Parvati Gela Kiba Konar Kere. Perhaps he went to the Gundicha temple, or to Lake Narendra, or to the Shatak Parvat. Maybe he went to the temple of Konarka. Ita boli sabe fire prabhure chahiya samudrara tire aila katta jana loya. Thinking like this, the devotees wandered here and there looking for the Lord. Finally, they came to the shore, accompanied by many others. Chahiye badaite aiche ratri seisha hoila antardana hoila prabhu nischai korila. While they were searching for the Lord, the night ended, and thus they all decided, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has now disappeared. Prabhura vichede kara dehe nahi pran anishta shankabina kara mane nahian. In separation from the Lord, everyone felt as though he had lost his very life. The devotees concluded that there must have been some mishap. They could not think of anything else. Anishta shankani bandhu hridayani bhavatihi. A relative or intimate friend is always fearful of some injury to his beloved. Samudrara tiryashi jukati korila chiraya parvata dike kata janagela. When they arrived at the seashore, they conferred among themselves. Then some of them sought out Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Chatak Parvat. Purva dishaya chale Swarup loyakatajan sindhu tire nire koren prabhura ambeshan. Swarup Damodar proceeded east with others looking for the Lord on the beach or in the water. Vishare vivala sabe nahika chaitan tabu preme bule kore prabhura anbeshan. Everyone was overwhelmed with moroseness and almost unconscious, but out of ecstatic love, they continued to wander here and there searching for the Lord. Dekena ek jaliya aishe kandeja jalakori hase kande nachigai bole hari hari. Passing along the beach, they saw a fisherman approaching with his net over his shoulder, laughing, crying, dancing, and singing. He kept repeating the holy name, Hari, Hari. Jaliyara chestadeki sabara chamatkar, Swarup gosai tare puchena samachar. Seeing the activities of the fisherman, everyone was astonished. Swarup Damodar therefore asked him for information. Kaha jaliya dike dekila ekjan, tomara dashakeni kahata karan. My dear fisherman, he said, why are you behaving like this? Have you seen someone hereabouts? What is the cause of your behavior? Please tell us. Jaliya kohe ihanek manusya na dekila jala bahite ek mritakam mora jaliyaila. The fisherman replied, I have not seen a single person here, but while casting my net in the water, I captured a dead body. Bora matsya boliami utailun jatane mritaka dekite mora baya hoilamane. I lifted it with great care, thinking it a big fish, but as soon as I saw that it was a corpse, great fear arose in my mind. Jalaka shite tara anga sparsha hoila sparsha matre se bhuta hridaye pashila. As I tried to release the net, I touched the body, and as soon as I touched it, a ghost entered my heart. Bayi kampa hoila mora netre bahe jao gadgara bane Roma utila sakao. I shivered in fear and shed tears. My voice faltered, and all the hairs on my body stood up. Kiba Brahma Daitya Kiba Bata Kahane Najai Darshanan Matre Manushere Paishe Se Koi. I do not know whether the corpse I found was a ghost of a dead Brahmin or an ordinary man, but as soon as one looks upon it, the ghost enters his body. Sharira Diggala Tara Hata Pancha Shat Aneka Ekeka Hastaparatara Tina Hat. The body of this ghost is very long, 5 to 7 cubits. Each of his arms and legs is as much as 3 cubits long. So here it says a cubit is approximately equal to 1.5 feet. So the body of this ghost is very long, 5 to 7 cubits, which means 7.5 feet to 7.5 feet to 10.5 feet long. The body of this ghost is very long, 5 to 7 cubits. Each of his arms and legs is as much as 3 cubits. Each arm or leg is as much as 4.5 feet long. Asti sandi chutile charma kore madabare tahadeke pranakara nahirahib dade. Its joints are all separated beneath the skin, which is completely slack. No one could see it and remain alive in his body. Madarupa dori rahe utana nayan kabu gon gon kore kabu rahe achetan. That ghost has taken the form of a corpse, but he keeps his eyes open. Sometimes he utters the sounds gon gon, and sometimes he remains unconscious. Sakat deke chon more paila se boot mui maile more kaiche jive stri put. I've seen that ghost directly, and he is haunting me. But if I die, who will take care of my wife and children? Seita butera kata kahana jai ojatai jaichon jadi say butab kat chadai. The ghost is certainly very difficult to talk about, but I'm going to find an exorcist and ask if he can release me from it. If he can I look for an exorcist to release me from this ghost who has taken control of my body. Ek ratriye bole matsya mariye nirjane bhuta preta marna lage nishimhasmarane. I wander alone at night, killing fish in solitary places, but because I remember the hymn of Lord Nrsinga, ghosts do not touch me. E bhuta Nrsinga name chapaye dwigune tahara akara dekite by lage mane. This ghost, however, overcomes me with redoubled strength when I chant the Nrsinga mantra. When I even see the form of this ghost, great fear arises in my mind. Otana jaya ami nishede tomare tahangele se bhuta lagibe sabare. Do not go near there. I forbid you. If you go, that ghost will catch you all. Eta shuni Swarup Gosai sab tattva jani jaliyare kichu koi sumadura bani. Eta shuni Swarup Gosai sab tattva jani jalijare kichu koi Sumadura Bani. Hearing this, Swarup Damodar could understand the full truth of the matter. He spoke sweetly to the fisherman. Ami Bora Oja Jani Bhuta Chadaite Mantrapade Sri Hasta Dila Tahara Matate. I am a famous exorcist, he said, and I know how to rid you of this ghost. He then chanted some mantras and placed his hand on top of the fisherman's head. Tina chapada mare kohe bhuta palaila bayana paya bole shustera korila. He slapped the fisherman 3 times and said, "Now the ghost has gone away. Do not be afraid." By saying this, he pacified the fisherman. Eke prema are bai duiguna astir Baya amsha gela se koila kichudir. The fisherman was affected by ecstatic love, but he was also fearful. He had thus become doubly agitated. Now that his fear had subsided, however, he had become somewhat normal. Swarup kohe jari tumi ghora bhuta gyan bhuta nahe teho Krishna Chaitanya Bhagavan. Swarup Damodar said to the fisherman, "My dear sir, the person you are thinking is a ghost is not actually a ghost, but is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Premaveshe parile teho samudrera jale taritumi utaila apanara jale. Because of ecstatic love, the Lord fell into the sea, and you have caught him in your net and released him and rescued him. Pardon me. Because of ecstatic love, the Lord fell into the sea, and you have caught him in your net and rescued him. Tarasparshe hoila tomar Krishna premodoi bhuta preta jnane tomar hoila mahabai. Simply touching him has awakened your dormant love of Krishna, but because you thought him a ghost, you were very much afraid of him. Ebe bai gela tomar mano hoida stire kahantare utanacha dekaya amare. Now that your fear is gone and your mind is peaceful, please show me where he is. Jaliya kohe prabhure dekyachon barabor tehonahan e ati vikrita tahar. The fisherman replied, I have seen the Lord many times, but this is not he. This body is very much deformed. Swarup kohe tara hoy premara bikar asti sandi chari hoy ati dirgadkar. Swarup Damodar said, the Lord's body becomes transformed in his love for God. Sometimes the joints of his bones separate, and his body becomes very much elongated. Shuni se jaliya nandito ela sabaloya gela mahaprabhure dekaila. Hearing this, the fisherman became very happy. He brought all the devotees with him and showed them Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhumite pariyache prabhu dirga sabkai jala shreta tanu balu lagiyache gai. The Lord was lying on the ground, his body elongated and bleached white by the water. He was covered from head to foot with sand. Ati dirga shitila tanu charma natakar eka pata utaya gare anantan najai. The Lord's body was stretched and his skin was slack and hanging loose. To lift him and take him home the long distance home would have been impossible. The Lord's body was stretched and his skin was slack and hanging loose. To lift him and take him the long distance home would have been impossible. To lift him and take him the long distance home would have been impossible. Arda kopina dura kore shushka paraya bahirvase shoyaila baluka chanaya. The devotees removed his wet undergarment and replaced it with a dry one. Then, laying the Lord on an outer cloth, they cleansed the sand from his body. Sabe mele uchakore korana sankirtane uchakore Krishna nam kohena prabhur kane. They all performed sankirtan, loudly chanting the holy name of Krishna into the Lord's ear. Katakane prabhura kene shabda parashila kankore. Katakane prabhura kane shabda parashila hunkara koriya prabhu tabahi utila. After some time, the sound of the holy name entered the ear of the Lord, and finally he got up, making a great sound. Utaya nahi Hitaya asti sab lagila nijastane arda baye itiuti korana darshane. As soon as he got up, his bones assumed their proper places. With half external consciousness, the Lord looked here and there. Teen Dashaya Mahaprabhu Rohina Sarvakal Andardan Baya Dasha Arda Baya Ar. Teen Dashaya Mahaprabhu Rohina Sarvakal Antardasha Bayadasha Arda Baya Ar. As soon as the Lord got up, his bones assumed their proper place. With half external consciousness, the Lord looked here and there. The Lord remained in one of three different states of consciousness at all times: internal, external, and half external. This Ardabaya. Half external and half internal consciousness. Under Dashara Kichu Gora Kichu Bayagyan Say Dasha Kohe Bhakta Ardabayanam Under Dasha Kichu Gora Kibu Bahagyan Sedasha Kohe Bhakta Ardabaya Nam. When the Lord was deeply absorbed in internal consciousness, but he nevertheless exhibited some external consciousness, devotees called his condition Ardabaya, or half external consciousness. Ardabaye Kohen Prabhu Pralapa Vachane Akashe Kohena Prabhu Shunena Bhaktagane. In this half external consciousness, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu talked like a madman. The devotees could distinctly hear him speaking to the sky. So I'm going to stop here for today, and tomorrow we'll hear about what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was feeling as he floated so long, so many hours in the sea until he was finally carried 19 miles to the Konark temple. But we'll hear tomorrow the Lord described what his visions were and what he was experiencing. Well, apparently he just floated for hours on end in the sea. So this chapter, of course, is called very, very nicely Rescuing the Lord from the Sea. So we'll continue with that tomorrow. Yeah, very nice. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama. Jaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Jaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan. Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Garadhara Shiva Sari Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Garadhara Shiva Sari Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath. Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath. Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath. Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath. H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan. H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan. Jahoite Vignana Shabishta Puran. Jahoite Vignana Shabishta Puran. H.I. Gosai Jarmui Taradas. H.I. Gosai Jarmui Taradas. Tasabar Padarenu Mora Panchagras. Tasabar Padarenu Mora Panchagras. Tader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas. Tader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas, Janame Janame More Abhilash, Janame Janame More Abhilash, H.I. Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas, H.I. Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas, Radha Krishna Antya-lila Korila Prakash, Radha Krishna Antya-lila Korila Prakash, Anande Bolo Hare Bhaja Vrindaban, Anande Bolo Hare Bhaja Vrindaban, Shri Guru Vaishnava Padema Jayi Aman, Shri Guru Vaishnava Padema Jayi Aman, Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koryash, Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koryash, Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Narottam Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Narottam Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koryash, Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koryash, Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Narottam Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Narottam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhariju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramasa Parabhajaka Charyashta Tara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramasa Parabhajaka Charyashta Tara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajaka Charya Ashtatara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Rakakshidhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Bharga Ki Jai, Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Raghunath, Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Premasigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi, Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai, Srila Vrindaban Das Thakur Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Bhagwat Ki Jai, Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Jai Om Vishnupad Vishwaparinya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Sri Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Sri Ram Mayapur Ki Jai, Saparshada Sri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Saparshada Sriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai, Sri Koladvip Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai, Sokel Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Sevashram Ki Jai, Ganga Devi Ki Jai, Tulasi Manrani Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shri Vrindaban Dham Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopika Pradhan Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Ju Ki Jai, Shri Purushottam Madam Ki Jai, Baladev Subhadra Jagannath Ju Ki Jai, Bhakti Vina Vinashaya Shri Nrsingadev Ki Jai, Bhakta Prabhara Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, all the assembled devotees Ki Jai, Srila Acharya Maharaj Tirubhav Mahotsav Ki Jai. Well, all glories to Srila Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo.